I would like to commend the Cleveland Browns. I would like to commend the Cleveland Browns for supplying some of this bulletin board material. Because listen, I don't think the intent is to put bulletin board material out there. I think the intent is to let people know they're getting a little irritated at how people are talking about them and the questions that they're being asked. And I like that. I like that they're taking umbrage to questions that they find insulting, because on some levels, whether it's intended or not, it just might be.
No, I mean, I like that they're insulted by it. I like that they're mad about it. But also, there is a body of work that they have to try to overcome here. And it doesn't get erased with 1 week, in a week that, by the way, they didn't even win the game.
Yep.
Like, I was happy with how they played. I think we all were happy with how they played and some of the growth and some of the development and everything else. But like in the case of Grant Delpit, you were on that team last year. You watched the Browns win 3 games. That just doesn't go away because you hang 16 on the Bengals and keep it close.
So this is fair. I'm just going to start here. Your retort is fair. I also think what they're doing is fair, which is there is an element of this. And listen, I don't think this is the same thing as the organization in general, which acts like the last 5 years they've been the Baltimore Ravens, and it's the Ravens who've been the Browns.
I always get confused. Like, where's that championship case when I walk into Lou Groza Boulevard?
There is, at points, an arrogance from, and even sometimes from the locker room, where it's like, why are you asking us that question? Because you're 3-14, you've had 2 winning seasons in 5 years. I think it's a fair. Now, specific to this year, though, I like that they're taking. I don't want to say fake it till you make it. But if this locker room doesn't hear injustice, insult, whatever, when somebody asks, well, how hard is it to tackle Derrick Henry? They're pro football players. Like that, I don't think it's a bad question, by the way. That's not what I'm saying, but it's like, no, I tackle a lot of guys throughout the week. I tackle Derrick Henry. I tackle Josh Jacobs. There's just another assignment for them.
There's 2 sides to this as well. Like, I don't want him glazing him up like he's a donut or something either. Just being like, oh, Derrick Henry, I've never seen a better running back than that. He's one of the best to ever do. You don't want to do that either.
Yeah. Or go, I don't know how I'm going to do it. I remember, this is going to be a no-names.
We've heard press conferences like that, especially when people take on Mahomes. For some reason, Mahomes is just it's a free roll for everyone to just talk about how great of a player he is.
This was not the Browns, which is as much as I'm going to say, but I was around a football program where there was a big bruising running back on the opposing team, and I remember hearing the story about on the sidelines, one of the linebackers, this running back would just keep running at him. And finally, the coach goes up and goes, what the hell's going on? And the linebacker was just like, I don't know how to hit him. And this was not on the, I should also say, this was not in the pro game. This was in the amateur ranks. But I just
How amateur are we talking here?
It's college.
Okay.
But I just distinctly
That's not amateur to me anymore, Nick.
Like, there was nothing that coach could say in that moment because that player had decided he was afraid of that other player.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't belong in the pro game. And, I love, when Grant Delpit, I want to play the whoop-de-doo again, because he went full Austin Powers.
Now, remember, this is whoop-de-doo. This is not whoop-de-hell. This is not true. Freddie Kitchens.
Yeah, now, whoop-de-hell is one thing, but whoop-de-doo is a different thing.
Wasn't whoop-de-hell kind of it's almost like a positive, and then it was a whoop-de-hell.
Yeah. Like, hey, you guys are going to have another baby soon. Whoop-de-hell.
Whoop-de-hell.
Hey, you just you were given a new car, a new company car. Whoop-de-hell.
Whoop-de-hell. I actually wasn't, though. I'd like one.
Somebody just got a 10% raise at work, which doesn't exist in 2025. Whoop-de-hell. I think that might be more of a whoop-de-hell, more than just a whoop-de-hell. But Grant Delpit here being asked about the Ravens as heavy favorites.
What do you think about the fact that you guys are 11.5 point underdogs going into this football?
Whoop-de-doo.
Yes.
Whoop-de-doo.
Yeah, because that's honestly
he's so bothered by it. I love the frustration in his voice. Whoop-de-doo.
As a fan, I do too. Like most times, I am the walk softly and carry a big stick kind of guy. Like, I do not want to talk more smack than I should. But at some point, if Vegas says you're an 11.5 point, 12.5 point dog, given whatever day we're on, right? If literally everyone's talking like they're going to some sort of a in memoriam for you on Sunday, as if you showing up is perfunctory and so is the loss, like, Yeah, take offense to this.
Well, and it's a part of the season where you really can still take offense to it either. You know,
Yes,
like if this
no,
is week,
exactly.
If it's week 11, week 12, you got no rebuttal. If you're a 1-win team, you're 1-10. You don't get to really be like, Vegas has this one wrong.
So good. Those are such a good point. I don't know why I just said so good. Whoop-de-hell. But if this was in week 13 and you have this energy, you're probably not going to be here next year. But if you're in week 2 and you don't have this energy, you're probably not going to be here next year. Like I'm glad the Browns are insulted by, and by the way, they're not insulted by the large spread. They're insulted by everyone taking the large spread to mean they don't have a chance on Sunday, when this is a lot of guys who've had some modicum of success here in Cleveland. And listen, I'm just going to speak for myself. One, it's not like I'm going after gambling here. You guys hear the FanDuel ads. It's very apparent that your boy Nicky Dubs loves himself some parlays. Dustin, my first partner, 3 of my 4 partners in this business have loved gambling. So I'm not anti-gambling. But something that I do find frustrating from all of us becoming a lot more aware and involved in gambling is we take these lines, we take whatever line it is to be how the game is going to go, or some serious amount of truth, or we resign ourselves to the loss. It's like, listen, they might lose by 12 or more points on Sunday.
Yeah.
Right? They might. But the game has to be played. Vegas has been wrong. And like
they have been wrong.
And by the way, they're wrong a fair amount. They're not perfect. No one is. House always wins, but no one's perfect.
They just get more right than they end up getting wrong at the end of the day. But yes, you can obviously beat it. I was trying to actually find what the win-loss record for double-digit favorites, and it varies obviously significantly in many factors. But in the NFL last year, it was at about a 72% clip, which is that's not. I thought that number would be maybe, I don't know, like 25% higher. I thought it would be significantly higher than that.
I don't think it's just the Browns players who should take umbrage with, just because there's a large spread, people just completely writing this game off. I think you Browns fans should too. Baltimore is treating you as if you do not exist. Literally, they're scheduling the anniversary, and I do not give a rip. Oh, we were planning this months before. And then there were months after the schedule came out that you could have pivoted this slightly.
They knew what they were doing.
Like, they knew exactly what they were doing. Joe Batonio said it. You just said it there. Stop playing coy and just be a heel. All right? Don't be a chicken bleep heel. All right? Lean into it. Nope. We knew what we were doing. Bleep Cleveland. Just say it with your chest. Say it. What's the other one we do?
With conviction.
Say it with conviction. Just do it
with your chest.
Have some balls, Baltimore. Why don't you have that? You don't have any more Super Bowls in the last 10 years, but you can at least lean into being a heel. But, they don't respect you. And quite frankly, the Ravens and how they've talked about the Browns in this matchup don't respect the Browns either. That should be some juice on this one.
Yeah, but there's only so much you can do with that as well, right? Like, I want to do like a win one for the Gipper type moment, but there is only so much you can do. And the Browns, it is very fair for Vegas to have put him in this spot. Like, it's not unfounded for coming off a 3-win season to, after week one performance, to be like, yeah, we still think you're going to be in the hole against one of the best regular season teams we've seen in the previous half decade.
They won 12 games last year, which, by the way, is good. They weren't the number 1 seed. Right? They didn't get the first round bye. They didn't end up going to the Super Bowl. Like, Baltimore's a really, in fairness, a great regular season team. So should I expect the Browns to win? No, because nobody expects them to win.
But the point is, the Browns have to show Vegas why they're wrong, and they have to consistently do it, and that's how you chip away from not having these double-digit spreads. But it just hasn't been enough time in the season for them to really do that yet.
And that's why, I don't take umbrage to the large spread. Vegas is just doing business.
Right.
But I do think that everyone then sees that, and this is absolutely grown. On every podcast I listened to this week about this game, Vegas says it's an 11.5-point game.
Which, by the way, it's been bought down from 12.5 how it opened to now 11.5, which means the public is saying they don't agree with the line either.
Well, but to my point is, okay, just because Vegas says it doesn't mean you have to agree with it. So I hope the Browns are taking umbrage to this. I hope, even though they can't really take umbrage with Vegas. I mean, when they don't care about your feelings. All right, they're just trying to entertain the masses.
And that's why we look towards Vegas towards these type of things. It's why I tend to at least look towards Vegas in these type of things. Is Vegas only knows the money. Vegas doesn't have a heart. Vegas doesn't have emotion. They just know the dollar signs.
But that doesn't mean you can't take it as a slight, even if it isn't a slight. And I like that the Browns are showing that. And by the way, I like that it's growing. I like that yesterday it was Jerry Jeudy. Today it's whoop-de-doo, and it's not hard to tackle Derrick Henry.
I'm sure Miles tomorrow, I would imagine, in his normal Friday spot.
Absolutely. This is what I want to hear from a team, that even if it's not the intention to disrespect, so on some level, you should take this as disrespect if you're the Cleveland Browns. We're talking about this idea about how much offense the Browns should take. And again, it doesn't mean that there isn't valid reasons why they're 11.5-point dogs on the road against a team with potentially not Super Bowl aspirations. That's a definitive thing, but that could absolutely win the Super Bowl this year. It's that the right response is to get indignant about it. I mean, I don't know. Listen, in fairness, do I think we did a great job of acting like they had a chance to win at any point the first 2 days of this week? Every time we talked about it, it was like, well, they're 12.5-point dogs. It's already 11.5-point dogs or 10.5-point dogs. I mean, we were kind of part of that. But it started yesterday and hearing Jerry Jeudy, and I was like, hell yeah, it is week 2. We can think they're not going to go incredibly far this year. We can think that they might be a 5 or 7 or 8 win team, right? But early in the season, this is the time where it's like, if you're going to do something, like, just because I thought it in August doesn't mean they can't disprove it in September and at least give themselves a chance to be competitive. And to me, that's one of the most intriguing parts about this game, is you hear all the noise, you get pissed. You're not an untalented football team. Can you do something about it? Because I think this is, listen, if you beat the Bengals, as great as that would have been to start 1-0, there was the reaction would have been, well, you matched up well with them. You've had some success with them over the last 6 years.
And be like, wow, Joe Burrow really... the reaction still is, Joe Burrow doesn't know what he's doing against Myles Garrett.
And Cincinnati starts slow. There would be almost like a, kind of thing. There's no, like...
Well, there is even kind of that even after just playing as good of a game there is.
Yes.
Like, think about it. They shut down Chase and Higgins, and I don't know that I've ever seen Joe Burrow play a worse half of football. Like, I was just trying to think in my head, like, I've seen Mahomes versus Burrow. I saw Mahomes in an AFC title game play what I believe to be the worst half of football I've ever seen anyone play, to then put one of the best halves of football on the board in the second half. I don't know if I've ever seen anyone play a worse half of football because the defense was so dominant, and we're not really letting that carry over the way that we should.
But everything that we've said about why Cincinnati was the right Week 1 matchup, including the fact that it was at home, well, you can say the opposite of that with this Baltimore game. One of the downsides of the wide 9 defense is you have to be perfect in your run fit to not get gashed in the run. Well, you're going against the best running team in football with 2 guys who, in and of themselves, can tote the rock for 150 yards a game.
Right.
This is not a great matchup for what you want to do. Even the way the Baltimore builds their offensive linemen, where they've got a copious amount of dudes at like 350. Okay, that's a massive amount of power and size to combat your speed, right? Along other things with the wide 9. So that's a matchup problem for your best side of the football. And then you get to your offensive side of the problem. This is a better defense than you faced last week in Cincinnati, even if it's not a flawless defense. So we should go in saying this is not a favorable matchup for Cleveland before we just get to the Ravens won 12 games last year and you won 3 games. So that being said, all right, this would be the incontrovertible, impressive win. Like, there's no fighting this win if you get this win, so go do it.
Well, but I think one of the big differences is that we can talk about the Vegas spread and we can have our matchups and worrying about what Derrick Henry is going to do. The Browns players themselves can't really be thinking that way. And so yes. I'm kind of happy that they're not. I'm happy that they're taking this as if they are like the world's greatest team, because it is week 2. And if you don't believe in yourself in week 2, then you're never going to believe in yourself.
Now, the thing we're about to play is not intended as an insult. This man is a respected journalist. He's a beloved member of, I don't know, somewhere in like the Lorain County, Elyria area. I think
it's the Avons. He's in the Avons.
The Avons, yeah, the uppers, as it were. He's a good man and very thorough. Jason Lloyd was on with the Morning Boys today, and there's a part of this answer. We're talking about the Browns' tall task on Sunday. There's a part of this that even as a fan, I listen to, and I know Jason, we love Jason, that I took umbrage to, and I'm not playing on Sunday.
This is such a tall task this Sunday. I don't think anybody on the field cares about this reunion thing. You heard from the players in the locker room yesterday. They didn't seem to care. I don't think anybody in Baltimore cares. Baltimore, hardly ever loses at home in September. It's nuts. And obviously coming off the loss last week, they're going to be, you're sort of walking into a hornet's nest. I think it's the same thing. You can't turn the ball over. So you might see a game plan very similar to last week where you're trying to keep Joe reined in. You're trying to avoid mistakes, eliminate putting him in positions where he may turn the ball over. You got to play great defense. You got to create turnovers, and you got to hope for a little bit of luck.
That last part I hate.
Okay.
I know what Jason's saying. I don't know that he's being exactly literal. One, the NFL is really wildly competitive. Every team that wins usually gets a little bit of luck. Two, I think the Browns just need to not miss kicks and throw interceptions on Sunday.
No, but I wonder if he means more like in last week's game, for instance, instead of having those balls pop off of the wide receiver's hands and then into Bengals defenders' hands, maybe it's like they just hit the ground.
Or they ping into another Browns wide receiver.
Who then catches it and takes it to the house. Yeah, exactly right. I think he means maybe little things like that do happen in the course of a game that at the end of it can make or break the difference in the game, but ultimately isn't something you can go in and control.
I don't look at playing mistake-free football as the same thing as luck. All right. There's so many flukish things that happen in the football game that we never really even react to because it's just part of the game. I just think you need to play mistake-free football, and so there is some part of me that takes umbrage of let's all make sure that we say a Hail Mary before we kick off on Sunday. Let's make sure that we get our lucky rabbit's foot out. No.
Well, I kind of think what he's going for, though, is the idea that when you're up against what is perceived to be a much more talented roster, you need something else to go your way. And that's why, for instance, coaches love when it rains if you have a talent deficiency between the two sides, because you want to just throw different factors in there that maybe it doesn't make the game as equal as maybe it once was.
I just hate. So I'm not saying Jason's wrong. I'm just saying that I disagree with it and I hate the idea. Because I really think there's no luck in playing mistake-free football. There really isn't. If you go out there, and by the way, this whole idea of we're going to protect Joe from himself, you're also probably going to protect yourself from explosive plays, which is what you're going to need to do to beat Baltimore.
Unfortunately, though, the NFL, there is a semblance of luck that is just built into the game. Like Derrick Henry, for instance, on Sunday night, if Derrick Henry's fumble just happens to go back into a Ravens player instead of a Bills player, and it's been proven throughout NFL history that ball hitting the ground is that play in and of itself, fumbles are very just luck-based in where they go, where the ball goes, and there's so many parts of the game that are like that.
So that is fair, but that's just naturally baked into every game. Do I think the Browns have zero margin for error on Sunday? Yes. That is a team that's playing at home, that's wildly confident, and they probably are going to want to try and avoid starting the season 0-2. Got that. I just hate luck. No. The Browns control. Listen, the Browns don't control everything in this game, but Joe Flacco not throwing interceptions, whether they're fluky or not. That's huge. Not fumbling the ball. And here's the other thing. Forcing those things for Baltimore. Those are things that the Browns control, even if luck factors into some of those things. And so I do think, week 2, I think we've gone so hard in one direction on how bad they're going to be and all this other stuff. They're not tanking. This isn't like when Joe Thomas sat across from the New England Patriots at the end of his career and looked across for the first time and thought, we have no chance to beat them. And he thought that going into the game, which was part of his decision to retire.
Well, and then he pitched what he called a perfect game. And then he was like, oh, it didn't matter at all.
So, I just continue to come back to the idea of, again, a large spread going against you. That's just Vegas doing their job.
Yeah, that's all.
But us taking it to being you're going to need divine intervention. The good Lord's going to have to come down off high to single-handedly intervene. You're going to need luck. It's I don't think you're going to need any more luck than any other NFL team. We're not to the point where I don't think you have a chance to win going into these games. And by the way, it probably won't be. I know the schedule's tough, but I think we've talked ourselves into what the end result's going to be. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I tend to think there's still going to be a 4 or 5 win team, but how it looks from one 5-win team to another is wildly different. And they can be incredibly competitive in this game. And I do think they should, late in game, have a chance to steal this game.
Well, and
doesn't mean they will, but they should be in that position.
Oh, that's what happened 2 years ago. Remember and in the long line of Harbaugh double-digit losses in fourth quarters, that's the game that the Browns played out 2 years ago. You erased the 15-point deficit, and you ended up winning that game. They've done this against the Ravens before. It's been a consistent thing in the Harbaugh and even Stefanski era.
So they're not. Maybe this is because when I hear luck. Right, you need luck to win this game. They got lucky that Kyle Hamilton, I think it was week 7 or week 8 last year, dropped that apparent interception that Jameis threw.
That was the second game, yeah.
Which allowed you to just go ahead and get that win. If Kyle Hamilton intercepts that ball, Baltimore's going down the field, they're winning that damn game.
Right.
That was a point in the season where Deshaun had popped his Achilles, where you had other countless injuries. Miles was playing hurt. In one game he was dominant. The next game he'd kind of disappear because he was battling through injuries and double teams and triple teams and all that and chip blocks. You had no hope on the offense. You're not there yet. And I think that's not necessarily what Jason's saying. That's not what Vegas is saying. But I understand, and I've started to kind of side with the Browns here of like, dudes, as a professional football team with a lot of veteran guys who played a lot of good football in their career, we also are coming off one of the coolest rookie game one experiences I've seen where, I mean, there were years where you weren't getting one of those games from one single player from a draft pick in their rookie season, and you got 3 of those performances from in one game.
Maybe they're not the greatest team in the world, but treating them like they're 1-31 isn't fair either.
Well, yeah, and treating them like they don't have a chance to win or they need divine intervention to. I'm not saying that's what Jason is, but collectively, do I think that is what people are saying one way or another? Yeah, and I think the pendulum swung far
and I don't want to put words into Jason's mouth. I think Jason is more speaking to the idea that, and this isn't exactly luck because you'd be creating this, but more the idea that you'll have to have the rare Lamar Jackson off day, or you'll have to have the day where Derrick Henry just doesn't seem like he has it. Little things like that you do create, but it seems like anytime you get the 1-2 times a year where Lamar just seems like he forgets how to throw a football, if it spins and that's the day that you get him, it's a good thing.